They the type they put speakers in pictures.
Okay.
So they can put, like, you got a picture of your family or something like that. They can put speakers in it. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
This podcast is produced by Project Plugin and shared with all streaming platforms through Captivate. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you are hearing or seeing the podcast. My life's work is to lift music and hip hop specifically as both a historical subtext and the product of American culture, a medium of liberation, and the soundtrack for the search for black freedom, collectively and individually. The hip hop album is a primary source of critical discourse about life in America by those who create it. Therefore, we will be discussing albums that are commonly regarded as classics or close to classics. I want to know about the music that changed the way our guests thought. Along the way, we'll explore how music speaks to who we are and who we desire to be. The art we create is not valuable if it does not challenge, if it does not ask, and if it does not respond. We acknowledge that music decorates time as art decorates space. I ask dope people to come visit with me, talk about who they are, who they've been, and what they do. I also ask them to be ready to talk about an album that played a role in them becoming them. You will not hear the music we will discuss during the podcast for many reasons, but you will never hear it the same afterwards. Therefore, this is a music podcast, but it is a people's podcast. And today, the people are Dot Gang. And the album is The Chronic by Dr. Dre, Colin Wolf, Snoop Dogg, Corrupt, Daz. They all deserve credit. Shout out to T Green in Detroit. T Green played bass all over that album. That's my man. So, welcome to the Dot Gang. Let me have you introduce yourselves real quick. We first got to shout out Tay Gotti and Boogie off mic. Now let me have y'all introduce yourselves as well. Starting right here.
B Scarber, aka real name, no gimmicks. ASR Consultant, Varsity Music Group, Midwest Paris, Ashes Everywhere, Mason Made, Dot Gang, The League, no name, you know what it is.
That's a lot coming together right there.
Mm-hmm.
P Dot, what's the deal? Everybody checking in, you know what I mean?
P Dot,
Yes.
no doubt.
What up, though? It's your boy Chise, representing 3269 as always. Mason Made.
So, I want to talk about, all y'all got y'all individual histories, but as far as y'all coming together, that's relatively new. So what we typically do is we start at the beginning. Like when I talk to individuals, when I had Scarber on, we talked through his whole childhood, him going to the West Coast, him going to college, him coming back, trying to make a name for himself. Well, not trying to make a name for himself. He just did the work.
Right.
Period. And he got a name.
Right.
So I've had that conversation with Scar, but I'm really interested in the two of y'all tonight. I want to start with you. You the person who I know the least about.
Me?
Yeah. And what's ironic is I do.
That's
feel
normal.
Like, what's that?
That's normal.
I do feel like I know a lot about you from listening to what you talk about on your records. Because the truth is, I feel like you're very honest about the music that you make. So tell me where Chise came from, and how you discovered this opportunity to tell your truth.
Chise came, you know what I'm saying, born and raised East Side Detroit, 48205, stand up. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've always been musically inclined on both sides of my family. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my parents. You know, shout out to all my uncles and aunties and cousins and, you know, just those who always played a leadership role in my upbringing. But music has always been a special connection, you know what I'm saying, with my father's side of the family being into the Motown era and, you know what I'm saying, just the whole soulful era, period. And then on my mother's side, my family is heavy in the church, but everybody is musically inclined as far as like singing, musicians, and, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. My daddy and his brothers and sisters, they all had formed a group that was formed by my grandmother, Miss Shirley Hill Mason, called the Universal Travelers. So I can remember just being a kid, you know what I'm saying, learning the structure and discipline of how to be a professional entertainer. You know what I'm saying? I just remember like just catching on to little things like that, just watching them watching other people as my big brother. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mr. Hood Life. You feel me? He was he's always been an MC. You know, he's the reason that I started to get an MC. I started off singing in the church. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the first form of MC that I was introduced to came through, like, preachers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, I learned how to adapt and learn a crowd easily.
Okay.
You know, and, you know, just the whole thing that goes with, you know, Baptist churches in Detroit, you know what I'm saying, where you got bad mic sounds and all of that, and, you know, it's always a push of encouragement, you know, whether it's good or bad. So a lot of that, you know what I'm saying, played a role, you know, future-wise, is developing me to who I am today. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and you know, there's other experiences I could talk about, you know, being under Team Hype in high school, where that was kind of like, it was a job, but it was kind of like my first, like, outside of my comfort zone experience. You know what I'm saying? That helped me develop some diversity and just, you know, being a real well-rounded artist. You know, I always shout out them in my story. Yeah, it's a lot.
What influence did growing up in church have over the way you write and the songs that you create?
To tell my truth and never be ashamed of it. You know what I'm saying? God knows and sees all. So, you know, by trying to, you know, become or show something that's not really me, it's kind of like, for what? You know, what benefit is that? And even if it is a benefit, is it worth it? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been the type man to trade my soul for riches and gold. You know, I've always been the type of person that stood on, you know, who I am, what I like, what I don't like, you know what I'm saying, and just always been me, you know.
That honesty shines through,
yeah.
Just from a fan perspective, as a person that
right.
hear a lot of music, listen to a lot of music, and I'm always interested in people bringing their entire selves to music, as
right.
opposed to one aspect, one element, one attitude.
Because one thing about growing up in the church, man, especially when your uncle is your pastor, you realize how we all normal. You know, it's just like how when you put celebrities on a pedestal, and you know what I'm saying, they want to go to Walmart just like the next person. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, when it comes to quote unquote church people, you know, church people are always looked at as being judgmental. You know what I'm saying? It's always about taking the right step, right path. So, you know, they don't try to really do mistakes or anything like that. But I learned the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, church, like, everybody is normal. Everybody go through problems. I mean, you know, everything has its fault. You know, so I just always learn to accept who I am. And if I'm not going to work on it or try to better myself, you know what I'm saying, it's not really no reason to, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, the first time I encountered your music was Chop Suey.
Okay. Shout out to Merch Music.
Shout out to Merch Music.
Yeah,
Merch
shout
Music
out to the big owner.
Stayed around the way from me for a minute. And, you know, I would fall through every now and then. And I encountered the music before I encountered either of y'all. Mm-hmm. And I ended up connected with him. Me and him bounced out and went to a show in Ann Arbor one night. Tell me about Chop Suey and what that did for you. Because again, it was the first time I heard you. How did you grow from that experience?
Chop Suey came, first of all, me and Merch met at the hip-hop, the original hip-hop shop.
Okay.
You know, at the time, I was doing open mics, promoting this physical mixtape that I had at the time called Something Special. So I was just like doing just whatever, you know what I'm saying, whatever I can get on the mic at. You know, I was just basically trying to build some type of buzz around my name. You know what I'm saying? So I used to try to like use the mixtapes as like a gimmick to get people to come and try to start a following. But we met, you know what I'm saying, at the hip-hop shop. He sent me some beats, and I had came down to the shop and kicked it with him. And then, like, I ain't gonna lie, it was like a 6-month break period. Like, we just went a minute without, you know what I'm saying, hearing from each other. Like And then he just hit me up out the blue. I think it was like I had posted of me performing like the night before, and he hit me up out the blue, and he was like, "Man, I still want to do some tracks with you, blah blah this." And then this time he sent me like 5 records. So when he sent me it this time, I just really wanted to like show him that, you know what I'm saying, I was serious about it. Like, I ain't gonna just take your beats, cause you know how some people think like you steal stuff, like,
yeah, right,
cause you'll have it and then sit on it and then probably mess with it like 2-3 years later or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like I wanted to, you know, he sent it to me, so I'm gonna give myself at least a week or 2 to give him some type of response. You know, I'm not gonna use this one, or I am. So what ended up happening was, I ended up coming up with like 3 tracks. So I told him that I got it. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying, let's go to the studio. I ain't gonna say the very first time we went in the studio. I ain't gonna say that story. But when we did get it together, the very first song we recorded was Greatness. And after we recorded that, that's when he presented me the whole Chop Suey thing. Now, at first, he was presenting it as Chop Suey featuring 3269 Chise. But as time went on, we end up doing more songs, and then eventually we end up getting around the videos.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We end up getting around the videos. The very first video that we dropped on there was Black Love. Black Love was the second.
Black Love was the first one I saw.
What was the first? It wasn't Greatness. Greatness was the third.
I got some questions about these videos too.
Probably was Haters.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Haters probably was the first one that we dropped. And by the time we got to Black Love and everything, it was like, you know, I'm fully a part of this process. Like, I don't think this is no feature. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because, you know, all the videos and everything of the connects was what I was setting up.
Right.
But I was just, at the whole time, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to make sure that Merch was right there with me, because I didn't want him to feel like I was taking his music, doing anything behind his back.
Absolutely.
So the whole process really was just built off of genuine respect. You know what I'm saying? And then the more and more that we just recorded, the more, you know, we got to know each other personally. We start to kick it personally. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, I was able to be a push and an encouragement to his situation, and, you know what I'm saying, his knowledge. Like, Merch is one of the most like knowledgeable cats you can talk to. You know what I'm saying? And you know he won't stop. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure,
just that wisdom, you know what I'm saying, that he was applying to me, and I would use it in different ways and shapes and forms. But I like appreciated that, and that was like my push. So, you know, as time went on, we just kept putting in more work to the point where we got Low Lewis. You know what I'm saying? Low Lewis attention. Which him and Merch was already best friends, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So Merch hit me up with Low, and Low, like, you know what I'm saying, he got the Last Ones Out record company, so he wanted to distribute it. And, you know, at the time, I ain't got nothing out. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what I was focused on. Like, I needed that.
Right.
I felt like I needed that. Like, I was building such a buzz just off of performing and just putting in groundwork. It was like, okay, where your catalog at now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because everything is so professional and presentable. It's like, now, you know, so I was really like desperate to do that. So it was an exciting blessing for me. So that's how I ended up getting distributed.
For me, 2010's Chop Suey was one of the best albums that came from Detroit.
Appreciate that.
And I tell Merch that all the time. Just because I like that texture of music, you know, sample bass.
Yeah.
And Merch do that real well. But I think that the chemistry between the two of you, and I think it speaks to, from a rhyming perspective, you very to the point. You very to the point. You're not, I mean, there's some gymnastics here and there, but you real deadpan with it. You straight to the money.
Yeah.
And it's not all flexing. And I give you a lot of props for that. I give you a lot of props for that. And it translated your performance too. Because I think that I actually met you after you performed one night at the Bullfrog.
Okay.
I think Merch was there that night too.
Okay.
and I saw you perform for the first time, and it was, you know what I'm saying, you was real natural.
Yeah.
And it sounded a lot different from everything else that was going on.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Club Shirley's.
Okay.
Now,
I hope I answered your question because sometimes
did.
I talk out of place.
You did, because I see it as being, I see him as being a natural progression.
Right.
From Chop Suey to Club Shirley's. And you was working on Club Shirley's for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, like, we was working on Chop Suey for a minute. Like, I didn't expect to get the response that it got, but that's why, like, I'm so thankful to have worked with Merch, because Merch really pushed it. Like, I ain't gonna lie, you know what I'm saying? He would wake up out his sleep just to share a video right quick. You know what I'm saying? At 4 a.m, like,
absolutely.
Like, you know, you don't always get that type of genuine support and just push, and it ain't even gotta be him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Like, yeah,
I see him show a lot of people love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's good. And I think he absolutely he still to this day will put up a video showing how he chopped something on Chop Suey.
Right.
So, and I know he got new music that he working on. So shouts out to.
And I think that's just what made me the most proud is like how proud I always seen him be of it. Cause I don't think like I embraced the love that Chop Suey got like he did.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I even think that sometimes it was even a frustration with me on that part with him. You know, cause he like, man, we can't, you know what I'm saying? He'd just be talking like, man, you tripping, man. We can't. I'm like, we could do better. You know what I'm saying? We could do better, you know, but I think that's what made me the most proudest about that is the fact of how proud I seen him of it.
Are you real critical of yourself?
Yeah.
How long, like, do you take a long time to write? Do you take, I
don't never force music. So, like, everything comes differently. I have, you know, I do have I would have a magic moment. I call it luck, God's given. You know what I'm saying?
Ghost is what we call it.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
But for the most part, like I say, I just let it naturally come. Like, especially once I'm given a direction. You know, once I'm given a direction, you know, I think about it, and you know, like I always try. Like, one thing about me, I always try to respect the craft. Amen. And the beat.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm definitely, like, critical on how I approach every record.
I see you doing a lot of stuff that's real conceptual. Like the song about social media. Like, social media, that's the name of the song.
Yeah.
Crown Royal Diaries. You know, it seems like you are really in your zone when there is a hardcore subject to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can bounce around, but even when you listen to a song like Soul Food,
right,
it's a theme behind it.
Yeah.
And again, you seem real natural in that. Is that a contrast between the two of y'all? Is she a little bit more just
she go? A bully.
She a bully?
She a bully, man.
Okay.
She done drop kicked me in the booth and everything.
Straight up?
Yeah, with the Jodeci boots. With the Jodeci boots on and everything.
People is wearing Jodeci boots these days.
And I got some.
My wife got some good.
P-Dot is like, they don't be playing when they say she a monster. They don't, that's real, man.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Like, I don't know if I know
Soul Food, I was just hungry.
When you adopted the name 3269, that
right.
Were you with a group?
Yeah.
At that point?
Yeah.
So then you was
like it started in the 7th grade, you know what I'm saying? Me and my best friends. Right. Shout out to Terse Dude, Q Nice Danger, Brothers for Life. We called ourselves the D-Boys.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But growing up on east side of Detroit in the school that we was at, the area that we was in, you know, we had to stand on it. And we had to defend it a lot. Okay. You know, so it got to the point where, you know what I'm saying, we wasn't letting nobody change us, but at the same time, wherever we went, we always stood out differently anyway. So let's represent that. You know what I'm saying? Let that be our representation. Okay. So, you know what I'm saying, just getting blowed and doing what niggas do. You know what I'm saying? We was looking at the house phone, and you know how like the 1-800 call Sam commercials on? I always used to be puzzled, like, what is Sam?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you dial Sam on the phone? So that's when, you know, we just looking at the phone. It was really Terse, you know what I'm saying? He like, bro, we could do it 3269. D-Boy spelled D-Boy. You know, so that way we ain't have to change no name, but we still repping the same, but we doing it our way.
Right. But then, were you the only person that continued rhyming?
Yeah, as time went on, no, like I'd never been the only person to just continue rhyming. It's just that life took each one of us in a different, different path. Shout out to my brother, you know what I'm saying? He had to sit down, for a minute. So that's really how like the whole like quote unquote solo thing started with me. Like I just found myself where each one of my brothers, you know what I'm saying, was kind of like had to fall back just due to life situations.
Right.
And it was me that was just still, my passion still was there, and I wanted to keep them numbers alive. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like our journey wasn't over. You know what I'm saying? The journey wasn't over. Like I didn't feel like it was time to, get the job at the plant, you know what I'm saying, to go ahead and make that lifetime money and, stuff. I didn't feel like it was that time. So my whole thing was just keeping the numbers alive. So that's where it came, just doing the shows. Mm-hmm. Something special actually came from me losing my cousin, Lavelle Mason, you know what I'm saying, which was, basically like my brother, my first cousin, you know what I'm saying, growing up at Club Shirley's, my grandma's house. So, like, I just remember that's how he used to always, describe my sound. Like when he used to be talking this Don King shit, he used, this is something special, dog. This is something special.
Right.
They ain't ready for this. They ain't gonna get this. This is something special right here.
Right. So
I kind of like did that just as a way to motivate myself to keep going,
Amen.
So it was just like one thing always just opened the door for the next. Without something special, I wouldn't have got Chop Suey. And without Chop Suey, I wouldn't have got the Club Shirley's.
So you was, you were solo for the reasons, because of how life works.
Right. Just how life works.
And you get involved in this, right?
Right.
What was it about? I want to know about how y'all developed a relationship. And why you chose to, like, what is it about him that made you feel comfortable enough to be willing to step back into a group situation? I'm curious about that.
I mean, for me, it was common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, the very first time that I met B, he was promoting Vizu. What was the name of the time?
Shout out to Vizu Low.
Vizu Low Key.
Call me King.
You know what I'm saying?
Sitting in the Spartan at Grand River and East Daily, listening to that shit in the MSU van. Shout out to the MSU van.
Yeah. He was promoting V's when we was at Club Blue. You know what I'm saying? We was at Club Blue. I remember we had took a picture. He was holding my mixtape. I was holding his. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember him telling me, I introduced myself, said what up, and he was like, you know what I'm saying? I done came across you. I'm up on you. And then, like I told you, at that time I was doing like whatever open mics I was, I could get, which a lot of them wasn't, really worth the time. But at the same time, it was just the groundwork and, you know what I'm saying, just trying to at least get one fan or whatever. So I was always down for it. But when it came to things that I seen him connected to, it was kind of like them shows that you wanted to be on. You know what I'm saying? Like Stretch Money on this one, Niche and the Shades on this one.
Right.
So it was really, kind of our introduction was business. You know what I'm saying? But it was just like common sense. He know more people than me. Then as time went on, he was throwing opportunities. You know what I'm saying, to keep the business going. And then it turned into like, I'm a fan of you. Like I respect what you're doing. I see you moving. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like then that's when I started getting invited to the ciphers and all of that, so.
Shout out to the Four Corners. Bro.
Yeah, I was getting to the ciphers. I eventually end up winning the Bar Raiser show, which I didn't even know was a contest. I didn't even know it was a contest. And then that's when I got my performance on the Underground Hip Hop Awards, which was another memorable moment. Now that I think about it from that question earlier. That was another memorable moment.
Was that the Hip Hop Awards at
St. Andrews?
Right? Oh, at St. Andrews.
That was I never forget. That was the Hip Hop Awards where Soup won Best Performer, but he was sick, but he still came.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was weak, dog, but he still came, and I was so inspired from that moment.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But that was that one. And I ended up being a part of the following one. So it was like, that line was always open. And then when he approached me over the pandemic, I mean, like I say, the blueprint that he laid out, like by the time he approached me, from the pandemic, I already knew he was real business. Like, like all the meetings and everything that we sat through, it was really just courtesy and respect. Like, he really wasn't telling me nothing new that I didn't already think of him and like know that he, he about his business. So, like, I was always just open to the opportunity. Now, I didn't know that it was gonna turn in this deep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just kind of felt like it was probably just gonna be like a relationship that can continuously be a stepping stone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I didn't really think that he would take me on like that.
Right.
So once he presented it, like I say, I didn't really say too much. Like, I just said, okay.
You don't typically say too much anyway.
Not really.
I can tell. But that's cool. I appreciate that. Why him?
Why, huh?
Why him?
I fucks with him. I mean, it's real simple. From the other artists I dealt with, his humility. It's probably to me his greatest asset. He a humble dude for the most part. And in my past, I've dealt with a lot of big egos. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like, egos.
You ain't gotta pause big ego. Why is big egos a pause?
I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'm always self-aware, but people know my background in terms of who I've worked with in the past. I don't like to continuously promote other people that I'm not currently doing business with, but I didn't have my share of working with A-listers and people considered who are legends and breaking new talent. And my issue that I always ran into is once we start to get a little success, a little traction, people forget about the humble beginnings. They forget about splitting the hot and readies. They forget about, splitting a $200 studio session where everybody putting in $50 a piece. They forget about, promoting outside the club and seeing your joints get frisbee because people really don't know who you are.
Right.
So I remember all of that. Like, I remember every adversity I ever came across when trying to do this in the last 10 years. And as I said, in other platforms, adversity builds character. And I feel like that's lacking with a lot of artists today is no character. Like, if you strip them away of the money, of their social media, or their material possessions, there's no character there.
Right.
And I'm a man who prides himself on character first. Like, I can't even do business with you if I see a flaw in your character.
Which is my answer to your question when I was standing right there. That's my answer to that question that we talked about off camp. We ain't even gotta. That's why.
And boom.
That's exactly why.
That's exactly
I got
why.
You
Okay.
gotta go
But I
with
mean,
it.
I'll be real. I missed out on some shit opportunities too because I'm a very integral person. I lost a lot of opportunities because of my integrity because I wasn't willing to quote massage grown men egos. And for me, it's one thing to take somebody to dinner. It's one thing to do a business lunch. It's one thing to give somebody, a couple tickets to a sporting game.
Right.
But it's another thing when I feel like I'm losing my integrity to try to, quote, open the line of communication with you. And if I feel like I'm losing that in some kind of way, then I got a real problem
Or
with you.
you like violating your core values.
There you go. So it's like, unfortunately in Detroit, because you got so many hurting people and preying on other people and doing business because they was jerked at some point or they was forgotten about at some point, when the new people like myself and to some degree them come along, they already got no in their mind. Like, before I even open my mouth to pitch,
Right.
it's already a no. So I have to like work extra hard to turn that no into a why. Not necessarily turn that no into a yes, but just to turn that no into the first letter of the yes. I got to do all this massaging just to get there. And to be honest, it ain't gonna go past Detroit. Like, I would expect that if it was somebody I was dealing with from out of town,
Right.
or if I was dealing with a DJ Envy or somebody, okay, yeah, let me try to figure out how to finesse this and make this work. But if we both at home and we on the same turf, I use the analogy of with the metro area, we all share the same home. Like, this is your home, this is my home.
Right.
The same way you should be going in the kitchen and get something from the cupboard, I should be able to do that too. The same way that you can open the refrigerator, I should be able to do that too, because we all at home.
Right.
So I feel like anything that's within the access within the state or the city, we all got equal access to. Now the question is, do you have the information to know where it's at? Now if you don't have the information to know where it's at, like how you was talking about some of the platforms that we've been on, you were unfamiliar with. If you don't have the information, you don't know those platforms exist.
Exactly.
But if you have the information and you know those platforms exist, why not share that information so that other people can develop and build? So that's kind of like my own personal gripe. And it ain't just with the media. It's with radio. It's with certain studio homes, certain producers not wanting to work with certain people. Like, it's a whole lot of that going on. And depending on the situation, you may see a different side of me come out because it's like I have a low tolerance for that. Right. But over time, I've gotten better and more patient. And like I said, a lot of counseling, a lot of prayer. And I'm genuinely giving people a lot more benefit of the doubt than I did before. But to make a long story short, my reason for wanting to work with him was his humility and me seeing that he was open to trying.
Because he was already putting his energy on the line.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing to start from. And then you get to learn somebody's character. And then you determine whether or not you can build with them.
Yeah, I mean, being real, like, it's a lot of people, not a great lot, but for what he was doing already in terms of his, I guess you would say, his origin sound.
Yeah.
And his origin way of doing it, it was more of a risk for him creatively to work with me because my base population is the street. Like, I got love on the hip hop side, but a lot of the artists that I work with were street artists. So that's the lane that I kind of made my name from. So with him coming from like more so the hip hop side, it was a creative risk for him to merge that because he already know coming in this lane it's gonna be a little different. And I tried my best to keep him, you know what I'm saying, for what he does, but just try to give him the mother pockets that he wasn't necessarily tapping into. So whether like the sampling was still there, but instead of it being boom bap, we did soul. Because it's a bridge there.
Right.
You know, he grew up listening to certain records.
Right.
I grew up listening to certain records. Certain records is timeless.
Right.
So rather than sample boom bap, we gonna sample some soul.
Amen.
And then as far as the street vibe, you know, get him to rap over some wavy records, get him to be a little bit more aggressive on certain tracks.
Right.
You know, that was kind of like, you know, me pushing him a little bit and kind of giving him some of my energy just for the youth and being able to politic. He called it politic music because he understood that I needed certain records to be able to work from a marketing standpoint.
Absolutely.
To get him out here. So, like I said, just him being open to try and him being humble, you know, made it all an easy process because he could have, like most of the hip-hop people, which we know are very prideful because I consider you one of them people too. Y'all sensitive about y'all shit. Dare somebody tell y'all that y'all shit not hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you didn't, I sampled this in the right key and I played this in the right note and the way that snare hit here.
Wait a minute, like, pause. Hold up. Okay. Now wait. Now you mean from a production standpoint?
I'm just about the whole nine. Like when you dealing, you are a purist and I respect you for that.
I don't believe that though, because a purist wouldn't be able to look at what is popping now and be able to appreciate certain elements of it, in my opinion.
No, you could do that, but what I mean by purist, like, bro, you still dig.
I do.
Like, you legit, if you got free time, you gonna go to shit.
I buy old records.
And you gonna dig and go get in the crates.
I will.
You gonna go home.
I will.
You gonna put the vinyl down. You gonna hook up your beat machine. That's what I mean by purist. I'm not that pure. Like, my pure was CDs. I didn't do vinyl. So I'll still go buy CDs and I'll do research online.
Okay.
But I don't do the vinyl. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then for me, like I said, rather than sampling a random Led Zeppelin record or something like that, I sample Donny Hathaway or I'll go sample the Isley Brothers. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a price tag that come with that.
Yeah, it is.
But that's where, like, my purity goes, you know what I'm saying, in terms of that. So I respect what you do, what Paulo do, what Merch do, what Nick do. I respect that. Right. But to have that is to have an acquired taste. You have to be of that community to understand that community.
It's a language.
Yeah.
It's a language and a literacy that come along with it. I can respect that.
So that's what I'm saying. So I know he's the offspring of that. So him coming over here, it was more of a risk for him than it was a risk for me.
Do you believe that because you have rooted your practice of and I call it moving around. That involves management, that involves being able to broker, that involves being able to get people to move their feet, that involves all of that. Do you believe that because you rooted yourself in the street, that you have the capacity to be able to do that in any space of entertainment? Like if it was a rock singer, a rock band, or a pop singer or something like that. Do you think that you could do that because you started there?
Yeah, because the language is money. And we all speak money fluent.
There you go.
So it's like when you break it down and you understand that the money moves the needle, like I don't care what lane of business you in, I don't care what type of music you do, at the end of the day, it costs money. And so in order to take this record to being a hit record, which is the difference, everybody make music, but everybody don't make hit records. Music is made in the studio, hit records is marketed and promoted.
Absolutely.
So understand what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
It's money. People don't want to admit it, but payola is real. It comes in different forms and fashions.
Absolutely.
You may not put the same label on it at certain times of the day in certain, physical areas.
Right.
But payola is flowing somewhere behind the scenes. So the language is money, bro.
Is Coney Island a hit record?
It has the potential to be. I won't say a hit record from a commercial standpoint, but definitely has the potential to be a Detroit classic. Like Coney Island, this is probably the first time I said this, but Coney Island for me was just the start button for them.
A confirmation.
No, the start button. No, the start button. Because I knew flipping the AZ joint for my backpack people, for what we was just talking about, that's gonna bring them in.
Yeah, I mean, it instantly kind of set everybody at ease because everybody know that joint. But then, you know what I'm saying, they had to do what they had to do from a performance standpoint, and they did it.
Right. But then the other side of it, by going with the concept of Coney Island and what Coney Island means culturally to the city.
Absolutely.
That ropes the other element in. You follow what I'm saying?
True.
So it was a starting point. It was like to say, okay, boom, this is P-Dot. Boom, this is Chise. We got your attention. Now I'm going to feed you everything else. So that was the whole purpose and the whole point of the whole Coney Island thing, which is why I laugh now, because there's a lot of people who are trying to say, well, I had the idea first, or I was doing the project first. Bitch? It's cool, because this came for us 6 months ago, and we just starting to get our flowers now 6 months later. But honestly, and that was only because of the pandemic, but honestly, the way we're moving about it is less to do about the physical establishment of Coney Island restaurants. Like that's a part of it.
Right.
But it has more to do with the cultural representation and aesthetic of what Coney Island means culturally to the city and us repping the city without saying I'm from Detroit. What up though? Which is cliche for people that come from the city. And like I said, the underneath, like the concept within the concept is these are two dope artists. This is a familiar record.
It is.
Pay attention.
Yep.
So, like, I know I can break that down with you because you get that, but the average people don't know that, and it's the first time I really dug into it like that. And that's why I laugh with some of the little stuff that float about the idea, because I'm like, we might have had the same idea, but the way that I executed it with them and the way that I applied it and what I'm trying to do with it is different. So it's okay for us both to rock with it, because how you rocking with it ain't how we rocking with it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So but that was the real thing. The Coney Island was meant to do exactly what it's doing right now, which is to make people pay attention to them.
Absolutely. And that's a great segue, because the visual of it, it's a different vibe. So the song, the vibe in the song, the alignment with Detroit culture, the visual of it is a different vibe. It's very relatable. It's just everybody done been there. Everybody has been in that place. Everybody has felt that feeling that's around here. So it's easy to get behind.
That was all intentional. That's why I laugh and I'm kind of like the like that
Right.
because it's like
Because the shit came together. And let me tell you
they
this
have
too.
no idea.
Let me tell you this too. Here's what else is trippy. Here's what else is trippy. I counted Club Shirley's, and now Dot Gang didn't create an entire compilation in the last year, did you?
No. Just to clarify that the Dot Gang thing with Soul Food
Right.
was a business move.
Kind of it was a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah, but it was a business move just so that the record could process through the distribution, okay?
Okay.
Because trying to submit all of their individual names, it would have brought confusion
Absolutely.
to the record because the Dot Gang is really like her relationship with her fans.
Absolutely.
So just taking that movement concept and applying it to the collective and just saying, when we move, this is how we gonna move. So
Right.
it wasn't really meant to be a group. It was more so to be meant to be a collective.
But here's why I give you a lot of credit. I've always given you a lot of credit. You already know that. But now you have Coney Island. You may have another record that pop off, but she did 5 projects during the pandemic.
Correct.
Problem Child 1, Problem Child 2,
Well, no, Problem Child 2 came out this year.
Problem Child 2. Well, it's still the pandemic, nigga. Like,
Yeah. But technically, if you want to break it down, she got 7 projects.
7. That's what I got written here. She
And
did
she-
it was
and
7.
He got 3.
And he got 3. So anybody who comes to this, they have a library to refer to
Facts.
and to explore.
Facts.
And I remember us having a conversation like, man, Dot working her ass off. I'm getting records every 3 weeks. You know, I need this back, blah, blah, blah. I need this back. And I'm trying to get them back to you as soon as you can. And now you could do an hour and a half show based off somebody being exposed to this and the fact that you got mad material. Both of y'all.
That's tomorrow. You.
See what I'm saying? So I give you a lot of credit. You saw all of it, and we talked about it. I was riding down Grand River. I was going to pick my mom up, take my mom to the doctor, and we had that conversation. We had a long conversation that day.
Yeah.
And you told me all of this was going to happen.
Yeah, because you didn't believe me. I kept saying.
I do believe you,
No,
but
you
I be
didn't.
I
You
be
kept
busy
saying,
as
you
hell,
like,
nigga.
you like, how you retiring and you steady putting out music?
Right.
But I'm like,
I'm
I got
talking this retire. Like,
But
how
I gotta
you-
do all of this to put them in position to be able to fish for themselves. So I had to first show them how to fish. So now that I done showed them how to fish, they can fish for themselves and they can plant themselves. I just had to knock certain walls down, knock certain doors down.
You're not retiring.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you the way my life's set up, bro.
I mean, I hear you, but hopefully, your
But
relation.
retirement doesn't mean I won't be
You won't be-
active.
absolutely.
Retirement just means that they are the face cards now. So all I have to do is just go to the studio. All I have to do is just show up on the day that the video is being shot.
Okay.
All I have to do is take the check to whoever we got to pay to get the job done.
I got an idea that we gonna talk after this show is over. Already, I got an idea. I got your what it in Carlito's way when my man was leaving. Carlito ended up getting shot though.
Don't say that, bro.
I don't
I've
wanna
already
say
been
that.
shot.
Oh, see, I ain't even ask all that. I mean, I know, but I'm saying like there is a way for you to transition.
Yeah, that's all I'm
There may
trying
be
to
an
do.
additional way for you to transition.
That's all I'm trying to do. Like I honestly, man, like this has been such a privilege for me because I've been enjoying it. Like the first couple go arounds, I didn't get to enjoy it because when you first start, it's all ambition. So
Yeah.
you're blinded by ambition.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to prove everybody wrong. You're trying to get somewhere. So you miss out on a lot of what you're doing because you just ambitious. The second go around, I got caught up in my own hype because it's like, okay, I did the first run, I learned, I made my mistakes. This run, I'm in a better situation financially. I'm dealing with some bigger names.
Yeah.
And shit, I'm a name too. So I started flexing a little bit.
Right.
In the second one. And then on this go around, I done had those 2 experiences, and then I went through a life situation that kind of humbled me. So it was just like, I'm coming from a place of like, doing it out of pure energy. And I haven't been that way since I first started.
Okay.
So it's like talking to you right now, I'm enjoying it. All the other interviews we did, I'm enjoying it. You know, when they in the booth and they say something cold, I'm enjoying it. When they nail a scene at the video, I'm enjoying it. When they nail a performance, hearing their song on the radio, I'm enjoying it.
Get to be in the moment.
Yeah, I'm taking it all in. So when I say the word retire, that's what I mean. I want to be able to sit back and enjoy what we working so hard for.
Right.
Because so much be moving so fast, you don't get a chance to enjoy it. And at the same time, I missed out a lot with my kids, man.
Amen.
Like my oldest daughter just turned 14. From the time she was 1 year old until 3 years ago, I was like physically there, but emotionally and mentally I was checked out.
In the streets.
Because I'm ambitious.
And trying
to make something happen. And so that hits different when your daughters come to you and say, Dad, you know, this happened at the recital, or Dad, I need help with math homework.
Yep.
Dad, I need you to, you know, come cheer me on at soccer practice. Mm-hmm. Like, those things mean more to me now than it did back then, because I understand that even though I was doing all I was doing, those moments with my children is priceless. I can't get those moments back. So the chick that I might have slid with, the hotel I might have took her to, the J's I might have bought, the cash I might have had, none of that amounts to the time I missed with my daughters or the time that I missed with my mom who suffers from mental illness. Like, that's the thing that I'm kind of working through right now. I feel like I could have saved my mom if my focus would have been on her sooner rather than it is right now.
I feel you.
And I'm fighting two demons. I'm fighting the mental health demon and I'm fighting crack addiction all at the same time. So these are things that I don't talk about because it's just like I'm so busy trying to manage and micromanage and do so many different things. So that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, yes, I'm professional. Yes, I do what I do, but I'm human too. Like, my mom's a crack addict, bro. I don't know my biological father. You know what I'm saying? I've been in jail. I beat cases. I did this. I did that. So it's like all of these circumstances plays a factor into my humanity and why I genuinely have compassion for people and wanting to help people, because I've seen both sides of life. I've seen the low and I've seen the high. So it's just like, that's what I mean when I say about the falling back, because I want to enjoy my humanity and enjoy what I have, because it's like the success don't mean shit if you ain't got nobody there with you.
That's true.
Like, if I ain't got my crew to share it with, if I ain't got my kids to share it with, what I do all this work for? Like, what profits a man to gain the world and lose a soul?
Amen.
You feel me?
I feel you 100%. And being able to do this work but still being grounded in character is important. That's how you sleep at night.
And that's all I care about.
So, I mean, that's deep, bro.
I mean, I know the spirit just came out.
No doubt. Because I'm in the same boat, technically. You know, my mom, you know my situation with my mom, and I'm up here, you know, working, doing this, trying to get my PhD, all these different things, and it has to mean something, because I'm in the crib with my kids. Mm-hmm. I'm in the crib with my kids every day, and they homeschooled or whatever, they virtual school. And the other day, my daughter walked up on me and was like, "You ain't never around," and that fuck with you. And when she say that, it's like you cut off everything. You cut off everything and stop everything.
It hit you the whole.
And you start sending messages like, "I ain't coming, take notes," or "I ain't," you know what I'm saying? It ain't that, because it ain't nothing that's that important.
Nothing is more important than your seed, man.
You ain't lying. So I feel you. And now I get to talk to Pete out.
He looked up like, yee.
So
What's up, right?
You got
heavy.
Seven albums in the pandemic. I remember the first time that I really hung with you was when we was with Asar.
Okay.
And I sat in while he was mixing for you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And
shouts out to him.
When I listen to all of your music together, the one thing, I mean, I love what you do.
Thank you.
And I've always appreciated your tenacity. And I remember at the Hip Hop Awards at Charles H. Wright, I approached you and I told you, congratulations, you did your thing when you got up there when you was in the cypher with everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I listened to all the music, I said, I want to know more about who she is.
I remember that
because you know you and him a little different in that you be on your shit trying to kill people.
Nah, that's that alter ego, baby. That's that.
I mean, you pop off,
monster.
you know, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But I wonder about what got her to this point. And so, has that been an area that you feel like you've exposed a little bit more as time has went on?
The person who I am, I believe, yeah. It's very hard for me to be transparent. Like, I'm not really a person that like my business out. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm very, very, you know, guarded about, you know, my personal stuff. That's all I got. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, are you worthy? Or, you know what I'm saying? And I only let close people that's close to me, you know what I'm saying, know everything in depth. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I'm very private. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's kind of hard for me to be super vulnerable or, you know what I'm saying, ready to drop a tear or two. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't be feeling like that. When I get in the booth, I really just, it be me letting out frustration, angers that because I pen stuff in. I'm a type of person, I hold anger in. If stuff on my chest, I'll be like, because I know I can be a certain type of way, and I'll be like, you know what, just to save face, I ain't going to say nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the times, it snowballs, and when I get into the studio and I'm able to release, I really release, like, and it comes out like that.
So who were you in middle school then? Who were you?
In middle school, I wasn't even thinking about music. In middle school, I was, I played a little bit of basketball. I was, I was very, very social. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a social little girl. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't never shy. You know what I'm saying? I used to dance more than anything, like jitting and all that type of stuff. I'm really good at dancing. You know what I'm saying? That was the thing that I used to do the most. Like my mom, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't even thinking about being an artist, you know, when I was in middle school. It didn't get to when I got to high school.
So tell me about what happened in high school that made you start thinking that way.
I was going to school with the Slum Village and going to school with Dwelle and going to school with KDZ and stuff, and they used to bar up in the lunchroom like, you know, L, you know what I'm saying? I remember, listen, real on everything. My mama when I first started rapping, I used to bar up in the lunchroom. And one time he approached me. Like, I wasn't on it, though, like that. I was like, I just know how to rap. I wasn't trying to be famous or get paid for it. It was just something I did in the lunchroom with my peoples. And he was like, you know, like, come over. And I was nervous. I'm like, nah, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't me. But he approached me to be a part of what they had going on. And I wasn't confident. I didn't want to. I didn't even know that he was going to grow up and be who he is. Like, I'm like, damn.
Who did you say?
L's I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from Slum Village. I was in marching band. That's how I met Dwelle. Dwelle played the trombone. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people who came from Cody. You had the Brownstones and Nikki from Brownstone. She went to Cody. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of. I had a lot of musical background. Then I had an uncle at home. He played the bass. You know what I'm saying? It was cold on the bass, picking it. Boom, boom, boom. My uncle played the full drum sets, stuff like that. But it was just me being in the neighborhood. I was on Plymouth. I grew up on Plymouth and Penrod, but I was raised on the east side.
Shout out to Plymouth
born on
and
the east
Penrod,
side.
my man Corey Ward.
Oh yeah. Okay.
C-Dub, DJ Incredible.
Yes. And one of my boys, they used to be out there rapping. And it was he came to me, my boy Point, you know what I'm saying? His name Demond, but we called him Point. It was short for Point Dexter because he wore glasses and was nerdy as hell. And we called him Point, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah, man, we go to the studio every Sunday at 12 o'clock. Like, I'm like, he was like, nah, I hear, like, I just used to be a little girl being around him. You know what I'm saying? I was rapping along to something and he was like, your voice, like, it's something about your voice. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? I went in there. Right. And I wasn't writing. I wasn't doing none of that. That was the first time I ever been in the studio. He was like, I got a song that I wrote. I want you to go home, remember it, come back and let me hear it or whatever. I like your voice, something about your voice. My voice always been like heavy. And, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then I went home and then he called. He was like, give me a couple of days, call me back. I actually called him back like I remember it. He's like, come around here. And I went around there. He played the beat and I rapped it. And he was like, man, we're going to go to the studio. I was like, nah, I'm scared as hell. And I tell you, I'm so scared. I'm like, I'm gonna sound stupid. Okay. It's gonna sound dumb. Like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, man, just come on, man. We can easily erase it if you don't like it. Like, it's just something to do. Anyway, shouts out to my boy Corey. He had that was the first in-house studio I ever been to. It was cold. He stayed on Orange Line, right by Ridge Park. It was big brick house. One basement is set up.
Right.
First studio I went to, they was on ADATs. You know what I'm saying? And we press play, recorded it, and then he had me like, he was like, hey, just go outside a little bit. But when I had heard after he did all whatever the engineers do,
right,
I was like, damn, that's me. And that kind of ignited something. I was like, damn, I want to do that again. I want to do that some more. And I started like taking it seriously and stuff. And practicing every day, writing little stuff here and there, a little there. Some shit was whack, some shit was good. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't coming out cold. I wasn't cold. Didn't even know about metaphors and none of that junk back then. I was just doing it for fun. But from that point on and stuff, then I kind of like kept on doing it and got better and better. Went to the lunchroom, started getting in the ciphers more and more, and it got to I got real confident. You know what I'm saying? And then I started accepting challenges. You know what I'm saying? And that's where that part came from. I ended up in the newspaper at school in Cody. Yeah. I was one of the females in there. It was my other two boys or whatever. I don't know what they doing now. Hopefully they're alive and well. But
Anthony Morgan was one of them too, wasn't he? Yep. Shout out to Anthony Morgan.
Yep. He actually used to be the one to beat on the tables, real talk. He was the eyewitness to seeing me do that. That was my start. Okay. You know what I'm saying? He was there for that. Okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, he was my boy Tone. He used to have ball. He'd be walking around with the backpack and pull out the pins. And one time he beat the table to his knuckles started bleeding. We was going hard. Right. We had a ball. But that's where it all started.
So tell me a little bit about your process. His process is seemed to be a little bit more methodical.
As far as like coming up with material?
Yeah.
I kind of like I like to live with music. Like I'll probably be driving to work, and I just put my phone in, open up the Gmail, just play the instrumentals. Like I listen to it, just ride, like live in it. You know what I'm saying? And be like say he give me we get the beat Monday. He said we going to the studio Friday, and I just live with the beats. You know what I'm saying? Just live with them. Okay. And then whatever my heart tell me or whatever start coming out, I write that unless we already have a concept where it's like, okay, on this one we gonna talk about this and that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or I want you to take me back to a time when you felt like this. Or I want you to take damn. I want you to take me back to that's tight. Take me back to when you was in the studio. Yeah, going hard.
He always
jack it up. But listen,
to be in the background with special effects,
or something.
He just infamous for doing something. Out in the bar.
Man, last night at our interview, they thought somebody was cutting grass in the background, dog.
We knocked out. You hear me sketching, Mike sketching and everything. Yeah, but that's the process. I just pretty much live with it. If we don't already have a concept or something,
Okay. So, female MCs.
Okay.
Female MCs have always been around, and I try not to categorize people. I try not to categorize women who rap as female MCs.
Okay.
But it's inevitable that they get compared, right?
All the time.
We've seen this upsurge in female MCs are very marketable. Mm-hmm. Especially if they look a certain way, if they talk about a certain thing, then they have the ability to cross into multiple industries to be able to become a part of the machine. What do you think sets you apart?
I'm not trying to do what they doing. I'm gonna go this way. You go right, I'm gonna be that one person in the crowd going that way. Like I'm just telling my story. I don't dress like that. I don't do that. I'm not promiscuous. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really, I'm pretty much, I'm just me. So I can only be that in my music and be that when I'm on stage. It's too hard trying to be something that I'm not. I'd rather just be original and be myself, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is covering up, having some type of integrity, you know what I'm saying? Speaking my truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with the gimmicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then with all that, like, it has its time where it's good and it's like everybody always would be like, oh, you're trying to be like so and so, you're trying to be like so and so. I don't want nobody to say that about me.
I mean, we in a remix
Like,
culture. What I call
doing that
a remix culture. Like everybody try to align you or try to categorize
box you in,
by comparison. And compare. I always say comparison is the thief of joy.
True.
But did you ever have anybody that tried to push you in that direction?
Yeah. A lot of times, or they'll just say, oh, just for once, a couple times, shoot a video like this. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, I can give y'all that. You know what I'm saying? But it got to be when I want to do it. It can't be because you asking. You know what I'm saying? It's quite a few times that I had pushed the line on a couple things, you know what I'm saying, just picture-wise, because I dabble in modeling as well. So sometimes I let my designer push me. She be like, hey, let's give them just a little, just because you can, you know what I'm saying? You got to show them everything. I be like, all right, bet, let's do it, you know what I'm saying? And I just give it to them like, boom, you see how easy that is? And then I just go back.
I think about her, the singer Her, and how just recently she's been showing a little bit more. Because again, like we talked about at the beginning, it's important to be an entire person, and you can't be an entire person if everything you do is showing your ass. Because that ain't how it always is. So
it's not always like that.
I appreciated the fact that she forced people to focus on her art, before they start focusing on.
That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel.
So I feel you 100%. Are there any female MCs that stick out to you as being major influences to you?
It's past artists. It's like it's only ones that still kind of moving a little bit. Of course, Rhapsody, Remy Ma still moving. You know what I'm saying? But the majority of the women who has influenced me has came and they chilling now. You know, being a mama, a wife, or something. You know, it's the Mia X's, the Lady of Rage. You know, Eve. You know, stuff like MC Light. Queen, you know what I'm saying? They like, okay, we did that. We chilling. We just collecting our money. But majority of the women that I look up to, as far as Emcees, are, past.
From the past.
What I'm saying? Yeah.
So you also do hair. You also, so that means that you spend your time in the beauty salon.
Yep.
You spend your time engaged in the conversations that happen in the salon. I would hope I ain't being, but I know that it's talking, especially if it's in the, like when we in the barbershop, we talk about stuff.
Like I'm pretty much listen and then let them get it in. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'll chime in, but I like this majority of the time.
So I'm curious about whether or not there's been any conversation recently in the salons about. And I got to talk about this because I guess everybody is talking about this. And it's funny because before I even asked that, like even me doing this podcast, like we was talking about people trying to push you in a certain way.
Right.
I had somebody tell me, and I put this on Facebook today. I had somebody tell me, you'll get more listeners if you gossip more.
Right. See what I'm saying? Like, that's not me though.
Right.
I'm not a gossiper.
I don't even I try not to even put dated stuff in my podcast to talk about. But I'm going to ask this question. Has there been any conversation in the salon about this dude named Kevin Samuels?
Yes.
Okay.
A couple clients, yeah.
And I'm curious about how that's kind of being interpreted by how this whole dude is being interpreted about. You know who Kevin Samuels is, right? No. Okay, so Kevin Samuels is this dude with these strong.
Is that the dude that be putting people in check?
Yes. Yeah. About saying that women is average at best. Yeah. And this, that, and the third.
He down women a lot.
Yeah.
And he down niggas too.
Yeah, he do.
Yeah, but he go hard on the women.
Yeah, he go. Dog, I see them. I'm talking about break this one nigga down.
Yeah, he did.
Like, broke him all the way. Like, dude didn't have a good job. I think he was a virgin.
Yeah.
Like, he was 30.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And the only reason that I'm asking is because I'm curious about what that discussion is like amongst women now and how the way in which he talks about women is he talks about how important it is for women to be feminine. Yeah. And for you, your shit is aggressive as hell. Mm-hmm. But you still maintain your femininity in it. So how do you balance being as aggressive as you are while still maintaining that femininity within your music?
I mean, Detroit. I'm being from Detroit. Is like you got it's survival. You know what I'm saying? It's me speaking on survival. Like I'm a female, you know, I'm edgy. I'm not like no super dainty, you know, lollipops and daisies and daffodils.
Absolutely.
And
right.
I'm more edgy, you know what I'm saying? I'm edgy. I wasn't sheltered, you know what I'm saying? Like my mom showed me the real, told me the real, I saw the real, I was a part of stuff happened, you know what I'm saying, in my life that people would never think of, you know what I'm saying, that I've been through. But it's just, I mean, that's just that. I mean, I'm still a girl at the end of the day, but it's, you know, sometimes you got to be aggressive out here.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta be like, look, no, I ain't no pushover. I'm not that. I'm really not that. Like, it's just my natural self. That's my natural self.
Okay. One of the things that we talked about when we first met out here, when y'all came out here, was in terms of dealing with younger ladies, young ladies, because I spent a lot of time running across programs and stuff that's supposed to redirect young men. But what I find is I think that in some ways young black women are neglected in that, because it's always a focus on men. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? On young men per se. What like message do you have for young women who not only want to rhyme, because I would love to create something that, like we did Formula 734, and it was for men. Like, you know, we brought young men together and they did we had conversations like we have it now, and then we wrote down the stuff that people was talking about, and then we turned them loose in the studio to make music and made an album out of it. What kind of advice would you have for young female rappers?
I mean, just speak your truth. You know what I'm saying? Be yourself. Don't get sucked into what's popular. You know what I'm saying? What everybody else is doing. You got to always think about what it is about me that'll stand out from the rest. I get asked that a lot. Like, you know, if you are compared, you don't want to be compared to, you know, nothing that's degrading or disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? You want to be known for like just speaking your truth. Just do you. Don't let nobody deter you. Don't be afraid. It is a lot of males out here. It's gonna be a lot of no's. It's gonna be a lot of people jealous of you if you know what I'm saying. People not gonna give you your roses, but it comes along with the territory. Use it as fuel. Use it as fuel to the fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, Amen. Just go out there and just get what's yours. For real, Amen. Get what's yours. Like, don't let nobody tell you nothing else.
Amen. All right.
Damn, boy.
Pause.
That's tight. Tight, we can hear that.
Hey,
you can smell that too.
Oh, damn.
Hey, Tay Gotti, man. Everything good, blood? I hear.
Hey, cuz, you and your ass getting along, dog? Y'all in there
we
scrapping.
Right next to the bathroom.
I know it was a problem.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, damn. Because I know they had some problems with the fucking.
Oh no, everything good.
That nigga is the problem,
nigga. But we right next to that mother.
This nigga done unleashed the Kraken.
The Kraken, man. Y'all so silly, man.
Silly.
All right, man.
They gonna throw their meds out there.
Nah, shoot, he said it.
It flew in here.
Yeah, dog.
It did. Watch. She was answering the deep ass question.
I'm like,
too.
everybody just.
I'm sorry. She was.
Yeah,
what the fuck is that? And that shit flew in here like that bug on the beginning of Man in Black.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It just came on like
I'm listening to it.
like that smell from How High.
I'm sorry.
The plant.
I'm listening
No,
to it.
it's hilarious. See, this is the stuff that people don't know that goes on. It goes on.
I looked at Brandon.
Look, y'all both looked at each other like, did you do that or did you do that?
Like, nigga, you bigger than me. That's you the dark skinned one, nah, nigga.
I'm dead. Look, the bloopers. You got you a blooper today, right?
Absolutely. That's gonna be on the Patreon.
Tay Gotti, boy.
Bloops.
All right.
On air. On air with it.
He's silly.
This boy ain't playing.
What do you have to say to the young female rappers?
I'm in here trying to give advice. We like,
Bro, we was stuck.
he started coughing. I'm like, what's wrong with him? I looked over there, then I looked over there.
When the shit, I need my inhaler. So I'm trying to like make it through the interview, then the shit hit me. I'm like, damn.
I was like, God damn.
You look like you smelled like it was like you thought it was somebody breath ride, like somebody yawned or something in here.
No, you was saying something so profound.
See what I'm saying? Y'all the cute thing.
Yeah, I look.
Y'all the cute my little violin mama like the fuck.
These walls is
And that shit turned into some bullshit quickly. Like literally.
My violin was playing like
And then that nigga said, "Is you and your ass all right?"
he said you all right in there, you all right in there, bitch. Say God, you all right in there, homie.
He said what?
He
Shout out,
said,
man.
Gotti, you all right in there, homie.
Shout out to Tay Gotti, man.
Yeah, dog. That had to be asked. Like,
Okay,
them niggas in there gangbanging.
The Chronic.
I feel
crazy
free.
as hell. The Chronic.
I feel free.
I thought you was in there smoking.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, brother.
Oh,
Oh, no.
I was like, damn. The Chronic.
Okay.
I'm with you.
The Chronic.
The Chronic. And this
Yeah.
is for everybody. So what I typically do is, and I'm gonna kind of whiz through this, based on everything that we talked about, it's almost like a tarot card. I ask people to pick an album before, and I always find things that's related to what we talked about by looking at the project. And so let me ask this first. That shit was funny. December 15th, 1992. Where was you at?
92?
Oh, me?
All of you.
Big Will, Superman draws.
92.
Yeah, I was
I told you.
in middle school. Middle school, I think middle school.
Yeah, I was in Cultural Garden still at that time.
Okay.
Big Will, Superman draws.
Why y'all named 3 albums and I picked one of them. Why the Chronic?
I picked the Chronic
Why'd you pick the Chronic?
because that's at the time he asked me what was it that I listened to that was part of my that influenced me pretty
Okay.
much, and that's when I discovered the Lady of Rage,
Ah.
and she was one of my inspirations. And I
Okay.
listened to the Chronic a lot because it was just her cutting through there like stop playing. I'm up here with Dre and them, we get into the. She was confident. I love Rage, but that's where I discovered her as she's one of my favorites,
So
outside of but it's honestly a dope project. to me.
absolutely. And I was in high school. I was on the bus the first time I heard it, and up to that point, I was a fan, of NWA and this, that, and the third. And I knew everything. Like, I was all in the source and all that. I knew about all of that stuff. So when it came out, I guess, let me say this first. So how hard is it? So I'll put it like this. In 2020, the album was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. It ain't nothing but maybe, I don't know the other rap albums that's there. I know Illmatic is.
Yep.
I think Raising Hell is by Run DMC. I think.
It's either Run DMC album or Public Enemy album. It's one of them.
So you talking about an album that was genre defining, era defining, artist defining easily, and coast defining.
Yeah.
What we can talk for days about the cosign, right? Like, in terms of what y'all got going on, you potentially could be a cosign away from jumping steps,
Okay.
right? So you got Dre, NWA, the biggest rap group in the world at one point, and this, that, and the third. He had split away, and the beauty of it was in them days when we didn't have social media, nobody really knew from outside the circle what was happening with Dre in between
Right.
Niggas for Life
And
and the Chronic, really. We can only speculate, hope they talk about it in the movie and Straight Outta Compton or whatever. So, what, I guess, in terms of what it brought to, like, what did it bring to the table? I know you kind of nerd out like me on stuff like this. What do you think, other than the cosign, what was so different about it at that time that drew so much attention to it?
it was the first peek outside of the movies that had came out into the culture or what was going on in LA. Because at that time, you only had, if I'm not mistaken, Boys in the Hood. Mm-hmm. Menace hadn't dropped yet. When Menace came out in 93. So you only had Boys in the Hood and Colors. Those was the only two movies you had that gave you culturally what was going on in the West. So when that album dropped, it was pretty much the soundtrack to those two movies. Mm-hmm. No pun intended. Where on the East Coast, we had Juice already. We already had New Jack City. So we already had those themes. And of course, with hip hop starting in New York, we knew what that was about. So it brought a whole nother culture of what hip hop could be regionally. I think that was the first. I think we don't give the West Coast enough credit for kicking off regional hip hop, because from the West, it went south. I mean, you could technically argue that the South came first. Yeah. Because Rap A Lot predates Death Row. Absolutely. You could kind of argue that, but yeah, predates Rufus, if I'm not mistaken. I think Jay Prince found a Rap A Lot in 86.
I think so.
I think so. But they didn't get their first hit to 91 with Mind playing tricks on me. So absolutely. They made regional hip hop a thing.
And so in my study, I studied how hip hop got globalized, and how hip hop is this process called acculturation, where people take on pieces of culture and they apply their own culture to it, and then they believe that they own it. So like you got hip hop in Ghana, you know, they'll pick up on the bigger pieces that we see, and they're more likely to still be dealing with the hip hop from the 80s, like the ethic of hip hop, like breakdancing, this, that, and the third. It's more people that stick to it from there. So I think that's what the West Coast did. That's what these cultures did. We talk about Rap A Lot. Rap A Lot kind of applied the blues to it. The West Coast kind of applied a musicality to it, and even when you think about LA and you think about Hollywood, it almost applied a visual to it, because my first memory of The Chronic itself is the video to Ain't Nothing But a G Thing.
Nothing But a G Thing.
Which is one of the most important songs in hip hop history. Because at the time that it came out, the visual that dominated, the imagery that dominated rap, especially on the East Coast, was, you know, niggas walking around in broken down buildings with bats and machetes and shit. And it was grimy. Naughty by Nature, motherfucking Lords of the Underground. Timberland, you know what I'm saying? Carhartt suits, Champion hoodies.
They sold lifestyle. It was the first time you saw regular day, quote unquote, nigga shit on main TV, because you saw niggas barbecuing in the video. You saw niggas
drinking, smoking, partying.
Nice cars,
House
pretty
party.
women.
Right.
So it was easy to relate to, because it was like, this shit we do too.
Absolutely. Like you think about Eric B. I mean, take it back to Eric B. and Rakim walking down the street. It ain't no joke. And there was an ethic that was involved. You know, big chains, sweatsuits,
the triple fat gooses,
all
stuff
that.
Like that.
But you to some degree had to be from where they was from to fully understand.
Absolutely.
Because it was a lot of 5% lingo and a lot of stuff going on with that where
so
you didn't have to dissect nothing but
right. I'm from small town America. I'm from Flint. So for me, New York City, as I always say, at that time, New York City was like a fairy tale in a way.
Okay.
You know, it was larger than life. So then you get this video, and the video illustrated a life that we all wanted to have. Get up in the morning, you know what I'm saying? You kicking it with your friends. You know, you go to the barbecue, it end with a party, and this, that, and the third. And you come, I'm 15, you come home, you blowed and shit.
Staggering up to the door.
Right. So that had me completely just sprung. You know what I'm saying? I was completely all about it. I remember the piece in the source about it where he had a pistol to his head, and it just drew me in. I was 15 years old, and my favorite album of all time, you know, America's Most Wanted, was gangster rap that was informed about white supremacy to me. And so the album comes out, and it's, I think for Dre, he had something to prove. It reminded me of when Jordan was in The Last Dance, and he was, everything that came up, he was like, I took that personal. Because he had something to prove. He had to prove that he wasn't that he could do it without Ruthless. Mm-hmm. And so, but I think that the album would not have. I don't think that this album would be what it is without Snoop.
Facts.
Without question.
Facts.
I think Snoop is the most popular rapper of all time. All time. He is by every stretch of the imagination, he a worldwide star and has been one now for 30 years.
Definitely the most recognizable.
Yeah.
Right.
And has not had to change.
Yep. Now ain't have to change nothing. Still the Crips. Still
Absolutely.
smoke weed.
Right. And that's another part of this too. When Dre came out and he had the Dog Pound, he had Snoop. These was hardhead niggas that were blatantly gangbanging.
Yep.
And so gangbanging even was like MC8 and Compton's Most Wanted and all that. It was there, but it wasn't. I didn't see MC8 flagging.
It wasn't pronounced.
It wasn't. Absolutely. It wasn't in your face. You remember Banging on Wax? Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like
The Bloods and Crips.
They actually claiming it
They
though.
came out with Pyru Love, and I remember that video.
Right. And they was flat out. We Long Beach
Bloods.
Crips.
Yep.
We LBC.
Yep.
Flat out.
Everything was red or everything was blue.
But I think from a production standpoint, you know, when you listen to a lot of East Coast music, it didn't really have melody. It was breakbeats, and it had like jazz samples and stuff, and the jazz samples didn't always match,
Right.
in terms of being in key. Mm-hmm. So you take a song like "They Reminisce Over You" by P. Rock, and everything matched, everything lined up, and that's why it affect people the way that it did. But they had that shit down pat.
No, we gotta give early Bad Boy their credit. Puff brought the melody for the East Coast.
When
He leaned in like, when?
you talking about like
Uptown.
Craig Mack, Flavor in Your Ear, was that after? That was after this.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's when melody hit the East Coast. That's what I was trying to say.
Like it became a crucial element, but I think the early. Okay, I give you that. But I think that the musicality involved in what Dre was doing and the mixing of it being done in a way that was being used in a way on pop records was what defined it from a production standpoint. Like the way in which, one thing, if you talk to any producer or anybody that mix records, it's hard as hell to deal with break beats because you can only filter the break beat. You can't unless the beat is chopped up. Sometimes it come with a lot of static. It come with a lot of energy in the mid range. And if somebody rhyming on it like you, I got to make sure that the breakbeat ain't conflicting with your voice. Mm-hmm. He was able to do that. Because all the Chronic is breakbeats and samples and bass lines. Sometimes it's live. Sometimes it's filtered in from the sample.
Shout out to the unsung hero, Warren G.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And T Green, too. Got to give T Green his flowers. He in the D, and he played bass all over that record.
Yep.
All over that record. Even if you... For me, one thing that I noticed was, in going back and listening to it in preparation for this, was that Niggas for Life did the same thing that the Chronic did, but it didn't have Snoop. When you think about records like Days of Way Back, you think about records like Always Into Something with that high-pitched whistle and all that. It's the same production. It's just Snoop and them did it different. Right. You know, they was on it different. And then we can't talk about Chronic without talking about how it changed the perception in hip hop to a degree about weed. Weed became a marketable item in hip hop. Now, he wasn't the first to talk about it.
Nah, but he made a whole, he marketed it like it's the Chronic.
Absolute Cypress Hill. You had Cypress Hill.
Yep.
And all that.
True.
But
I remember
when Snoop put that hat on in that video and it had a fucking weed leaf on it,
it was over.
Everything was different. And now look at us 30 years later.
It's illegal.
This shit legal. That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, I think also the importance of chemistry amongst the MCs. So being a producer, being a person, being how y'all work in the studio, I'm curious about how y'all develop chemistry. Because somebody, if that's not natural, and if you ain't been doing it for a long time, somebody got to craft that. And it was Dre that was crafting that amongst all these rappers. Now, you had 213, you had Warren G, Nate Dogg, and Snoop they had the time to develop that chemistry before they even got to Dre.
Right.
But a producer's job is to coach that chemistry. How did y'all develop chemistry? It just came natural or what?
It was
kinda
organic
just
for me.
Came natural because we had took like some early opportunities to like do some early collaborations. So it was kind of like we already had a feel for each other.
And kind of
We just never really did nothing big with the records.
Yeah, and it's like by me already being a fan of his work, I kind of already knew, like, you know, like, okay, he gonna come this way. Or, you know, I'm strong, I got a strong voice, and he like, hey, you know, it's like, it was the contrast, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was the difference in style, the difference in delivery, cadence,
Right.
whole thing. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it was organic, like, it just gelled, like, wow, like, I don't know. I never thought that it'd gel like that, like, you know, be like, okay, let's try it. And when we went in there, it was like, okay, we did Soul Food. Then we went in there again, and we did Coney Island. It's like, damn, we actually do. I like it. You know, like what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, we actually compliment each other, you know?
Absolutely. It was very natural. Like hearing a song like Soul Food,
Yeah.
it's very natural. It connect. It connect real clearly. I could talk about the individual songs forever and kind of nerd out on all that. But one thing I just shared, just in the interest of time, is the fact that I think a lot of people forget about how political the album was. Because this happened right after, you know, a lot of this got recorded right after the LA riots. So songs like The Day That Niggas Took Over, you know, songs like Lil Ghetto Boy,
Right.
and those little skits about, you know, the riot and this, that, and the third.
Or just the whole hip hop detractor uprising with Dan Quayle and C. Dolores Tucker, like it was right on the onset of all of that and kind of peaked with all of that. So
Right.
the whole argument about putting the parental advisory sticker on the albums, like all that was kind of circled around the same time.
So here's kind of like the seminal question, and we could talk about. I mean, this when we get albums like The Chronic, we don't have to go super deep in it because everything that's been said about it has been said. But the question becomes, in the age of emailing tracks, in the age of being able to extract vocals from beats, in the age of an emphasis on the soloist as a rapper, you know, you don't see a lot of groups.
Right.
And so that's, you know, this is kind of unique that y'all work together in a way. But I mean, do y'all still consider yourselves soloists, or do y'all? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But how do you make a Chronic in 2021?
Conversations. Like a lot of the unknowingly to them, which is a part of like my A&R producer mindset, is the casual conversations I have with them is where I draw back on my memory to pull ideas and concepts from. And so it'd be the conversations that we have just regular being around each other. And so when I'm picking records or coming up with ideas, they may not think that it came from that, but it originated from that, and I add my little 2 cents to spin on it. The process is real simple. The hardest part is just getting them to genius and simplicity. That's what I challenged them both on. Like being able to say the most immaculate shit, but say it inside of one line or 2 bars. Because sometimes it's a natural tendency to over rap or a natural tendency to under rap. So just being able to give just enough. And I would probably say with his background, he had a slightly better knack for it than her. From his background with her, it was her energy. Her energy overshadowed her pen a lot of times. So you got so caught up in her voice that you necessarily weren't paying attention to the lines. And so I was challenging her to kind of like play with her voice more so as an instrument to give more credence to your lines. So people, because she be saying some shit. Like the funniest shit I remember about the Soul Food record, and I'll leave this alone. By the time Soul Food came out, she was already 4 projects in the pandemic. And when the DJs, because it was the DJs that hit us and told us they like Soul Food. So not to say that all the other music we had put out wasn't doing well, didn't have traction, but when Soul Food dropped, it had such an organic response with the DJs. It was like, yo, and even you know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, on the Dot Gang thing, like, is it more records coming? Like, what's going on with this? And I'm like, no, this was really just a one-off. And it was like, but that chemistry with all of them, it sound dope. And then Dot on there spitting. And I'm like, bro,
Yes, she was.
the same shit she's saying on her one verse, she just gave you 4 albums of the same shit.
Absolutely.
I just think it was the arrangement
Yes.
of where she was in the song, and then the contrast between K2A, Vizu, then her, then him. It made you kind of like zero in and pay attention versus having a whole song when it was just her by herself. And so that's where the first idea of like collaboration and keeping her collaborative with someone kind of came, because like, okay, if this the angle I got to take to get them back to what we got back here, then we just gonna take this angle and play the collaboration up. And to make a long story short, the other two kind of shot themselves in the foot, and so it just made it easy for bro to step in and assume that role as the main collaborator. And then out of his energy and her energy and them doing the first Coney Island, you know what I'm saying, it made sense and it worked. And I think the challenge is getting them both to embrace it more. So yes, they're solo artists, but understanding that they have this Voltron thing that we can come together and do this Coney Island thing and smack everybody upside the head, and then we can separate
Right.
and further be destructive and pull them limb from limb, because we equally got what we got on our own. But
Okay.
it's strengthened that effect. So that's what I mean. You know, Voltron a little old school, but that's the first thing that popped in my mind. But that ability to come together and separate, even like with the Wu-Tang, like, you know, 36 chambers will always be 36 chambers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But,
Right. And it came first,
Right.
too.
But
So
then you got Built, you got Liquid Swords,
right.
You got Iron Man.
So it got better and better as the sound got more refined, which brings me to my last question about the Chronic. Rank these three, and we'll leave the Chronic alone. Chronic, Doggy Style, and Dog Food.
Doggy Style.
Number one,
Yeah.
Hands down.
This is the thing.
Hands down.
Doggy
Hands
Style
I agree.
is the perfect hip hop album, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Doggy Style, what they figured out was basically how to create individuality in the records, but put it in a position to where it play like one long
A story, a movie.
song.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you want to keep hearing that song over and
It
over.
was the skits, everything
over
was perfect.
Again, it's like
Yeah.
with Chronic, I feel like they was in the lab and they was just throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it stick.
Right.
With Doggy Style, they had figured out that sauce. They figured out that ingredient. And then I think with Dog Food, they were just tired. Because Dog Food, I feel like could have been better.
Ooh,
I feel like Dog Food could have been better.
He said,
I say
"Ooh."
Doggy Style, Dog Food, the Chronic.
Corrupt snapped on Dog
Oh my
Food.
God.
I'm not saying it wasn't a dope
snapped
album,
out that
but it's like when you come off the Chronic,
Because that's what
that
put me
did,
up on them really for the
and you
most
come
part.
off with Doggy Style, what that did, and you get the Dog Food, like Dog Food didn't hit the same way the
Oh,
first two hit.
not for me.
Right.
I'm just saying.
That Dog Food was hard. It was Daz and Dre they found the matrix. To me, beat wise, production wise, Dog Food is its own episode of the Zero Noise podcast, bro. so we're gonna definitely have to come back to that. So what's next? Like what's next for y'all? What y'all gonna do now?
Coney Island 2 tomorrow.
12 o'clock.
Yeah, in 5 minutes. Coney Island 2. It'll be everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Temperature check video.
Is that at 12 too?
No, temperature check video. You get to see it because we here. But temperature check will be airing for everyone else on the live stream. So make sure you tune in 7 Mile Radio for the live stream.
Okay.
Doing a live stream concert on the island.
Oh
too.
yeah. Absolutely.
After party, shout out to DJ Hen House. What you doing tomorrow? Can you get out the house?
Nah, I got my mama. I told my mama she'd come over this weekend.
He said I told my mama
So
she
you
could
could
come
go out
over
the
this-
house.
And I ain't even no mama's boy. I
Ain't no wrong with letting mama
I'm
come
just saying,
over.
you could have came out the house, you know, could have got you a bruise, maybe a lap dance, BBW explosion going on.
The views expressed.
Listen,
Podcast.
Ass.
you making me think about that time the 2 Chainz.
It's
Took
setting
the
the stage.
verses. You said my son was in the room.
Right.
It's just setting the stage when you go back home to the missus. That's all.
No, I mean,
You done blew it.
This-
you
this-
said BBW explosion.
this
It's
is gonna come out about a week after we shoot it though.
You done blew it for him.
So,
But the
I'ma call you
explosion
on
is
my
the
way home.
explosion part. Explosion.
amen. But you do your thing. Let Tay get mine.
Gotti got you.
Let Tay get mine.
Yeah,
Gotta
hope you don't
get
use the
Even Merch
bathroom.
got to dance in the best man.
Praise God.
You ain't
Merch,
lying.
merch.
He
He
did.
did.
He did.
He
He was in
did.
there like,
Absolutely. But y'all, okay, so y'all doing that tomorrow. By the time this go to press, Coney Island 2
It'll be
will
out.
be out.
Oh, possibility festival coming up.
Absolutely.
Shout out Rocky Bad, BFB the Pac-Man. We still deliberating.
Flint Town stand up.
Possible open up for Jeezy. Shout out to Mary Sheffield,
Woo!
City Council President. Still trying to tie the loose ends on that.
Okay. Shout out to Jeezy come to Detroit is like
he live here.
he like Santa Claus.
He live
coming to
here.
Detroit.
So just trying to, get them on bigger opportunities.
Amen.
And possibly get on the road this summer. Even if we don't do nothing but go shoot videos on the road, try to get away from the city for a minute, get some serene.
I want to do like a you know the Alchemist. You know how the Alchemist drop tapes with people and all that. You know,
You've been saying this shit for a minute.
man, I know.
They here now.
I just ain't got time.
Don't talk to me.
I would love to do an album. I would love to do a project with y'all that's just straight sample based stuff, grimy ass beats. You know what I'm saying? I would love to do something like that with y'all. But
That'd be an honor. Thank you.
not just me. I bring in the other producers around me. We call it the Dirty Old Men.
The dirty old man.
Dirty old
Yeah,
man.
let's get it.
I would love to do that.
Oh, all
I would love to
right.
do that. So, plug any other plugs? Plug social media.
Yeah, you can follow me on the IG. You can follow me on the IG at 3269 Chise, Chise.
Chise.
You know what I'm saying? Like franchise. Facebook is Chise D-Boy Mason. You can check out my official website, dboysound.com. I just dropped my recent video, Crown Royal Diary. This is like the 7th or 8th video off my recent album, Club Shirley's, which is available on all media platforms. You know what I'm saying? Download or stream that. You can also check out the website to catch up on the past music as far as Chop Suey, the Coney Island 1 project, which is available for free download.
Absolutely.
You can also check out past interviews, shows. It's a lot of, the pictures that we capture in the moments. It's a short bio about me. So, it's basically a one-stop shop. And once again, that's dboysound.com, all lowercase. The YouTube channel is still doing good. Mason Made. Make sure that's everything. Yeah, that's for the most part. Coney Island 2, you know what I'm saying? Officially about to be available on all streaming platforms. I'm blessed to be a part of this process. And to my brother Turst Dude, continue to keep your head up, my nigga.
My man. Y'all got a videographer on the team? Do they shoot all your videos?
Yeah, we got several.
Shout out to them. Cause y'all be having mad videos. Mad videos. Shout out to them. I mean, you gotta get a videographer on your team. I need one. I'm doing this myself right now. Dot, what about you?
Y'all can follow me, P.Music on Instagram, PDOTMUSIC. Also, Dot Gang with 6 A's in it. You know what I mean? Follow me on both of those. Facebook, you can follow me at P.Music page, and then you can check in with me personally. Pamela P. Willis. Talk to me, I talk back. Follow the movement, you know what I'm saying? All together, we'll be releasing Coney Island 2 in a matter of minutes, you know what I'm saying? So y'all go ahead and tap in and get that now, you know what I'm saying? Flavor for your ear. You can get the first one, listen to that now, you know what I'm saying? So y'all can be up to speed. If you haven't already tapped in, go ahead and listen to us, you know what I'm saying? Murder some tracks, you know what I'm saying? Make them our own. I'm definitely honored to be a part of the movement, you know what I'm saying? There's more to come. More visuals to come, you know what I'm saying? We applying pressure. Shouts out to VMG. Shouts out to Take Gotti, Midwest Paris, Ashes Everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Dot Gang. Make sure you follow me. Dot Gang. www.dotgang.net. Get caught up on the old to the new. Watch the glow up.
No doubt.
B Scarb, real name, no gimmicks. At Grind Life 313, IG, Twitter. Brandon Scarber, Facebook, LinkedIn, ASR Consultant, www.westillrise.org. Get with me. Pleasure as always, bro. You know what I'm saying? My brother from another mother. And,
No doubt. Make sure you follow us, Zero Noize Podcast. Follow me on IG, Where's Wallace. Also support the Amplify Fellowship, amplify-fellowship.com. Zero Noize Podcast on YouTube and on all streaming services. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe and all that, whatever, that stuff that you're supposed to do. We want to give one last shout out to our sponsors, Grove Studios, 24/7 production workspace here in Ypsilanti. We're building something special here in terms of the artists and the network that come through here. It's been fantastic to be a part of this growth, and we're looking forward to continuing to do so. We got Leon speakers providing that high-end audio. So if you're balling, you're more than welcome to pick up a setup for your home theater that's different than the rest if you want to be exclusive. We also want to take the time to shout out edigging.com, phonics.com, that's phonics with a Q. Shout out to Digital Hustle Film, shout out to the Dirty Old Man, shout out to Detroit Originals. You can follow them on IG as well, providing me with my sweatshirt today. And that's pretty much it. Until next time, this is Rob Wallace. Support the artists and the music artisans around you, because when the music stops, everything else does. Y'all be cool. Peace.